Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Indianapolis, Indiana, kind of on the north side, just a little bit outside downtown. And I am standing in front of a presidential site, the Benjamin Harrison presidential site. He was the 23rd president of the United States. He is not buried here. I got that covered in another video. But this was a house that him and his wife Caroline lived in most of their lives. He lived here for 26 years. Excluding those that spent time in the White House. But I've got lots of cool stuff to show, and unfortunately the people did not allow video inside the museum. But that's okay, because I took pictures, and I'll have a little story to go with each and every one of them. And I'll show you a little short video of some artifacts in the museum, and a few markers on campus. So come with me, I'll start the tour. All right, so getting here is kind of a challenge. That is Interstate 65. That is going northbound. And you gotta follow the signs from the freeway to get here. It's kind of like going in a square, if you know what I mean. And yes, says construction crews that you're hearing. Okay, funny I say that. But I'll show you these over here, kind of give you a little introductory on General Harrison, as he liked to be called, instead of President Harrison or former President Harrison. And one thing worth noting, it is not part of the National Park Service. I noticed that a lot of Republican presidents, well, a lot of presidents are mostly independent, like their old houses and whatnot are saved, or their boyhood homes, anything related. Some are part of the National Park Service, like the Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter. The list goes on and on. But here is a little something to get to know you about Benjamin Harrison. This is a treasured National Historic Landmark. It is recognized as one of the state of Indiana's premier cultural attractions, serving tens of thousands of students and visitors each year. And the nationally significant collection of original artifacts represents the life of the 23rd President of the United States and the Harrison family. So this house was made from 380,000 bricks, and once you see the house, you will not be surprised. And this was built in 1874. It's Italianate, sorry. It was built by Benjamin and Caroline Harrison, and there's like 3,000 personal items of theirs that survived, you know, from their personal possessions. And getting the house to look like it did back in the day was kind of a challenge. This was actually kind of a boarding house, or I think it was a dormitory after, you know, the last family member moved out. Harrison did die in that house, and his daughter did live there until, you know, a few years after. But they did keep their rooms, you know, up to the standards they were back then. So what I'm going to do is show you the next panel, and then I'll get you closer to the house. So was Harrison America's Hoosier president? Yes and no. He was actually born in Ohio. Oh my gosh. And he was raised in Ohio, but he did move here during his adult years. He was either going to be a clerk, or he was either going to be a minister, or he was going to be a lawyer. But either way, he wanted to go where his wife Caroline, or his future wife Caroline, was going, because they started seeing each other when they were teens. So Benjamin Harrison, citizen, soldier, lawyer, U.S. Senator, and 23rd President of the United States. It was a unifying force at a time of deep division, a statesman of character whose abiding love for the nation he led could still be felt in the tradition he began of flying the stars and stripes over schools and public buildings. As a matter of fact, I learned from the tour guide that, I mean, I don't know what they do in elementary schools today, public schools or private, whatnot. But yes, when I was children, we all said the Pledge of Allegiance every day. And then some years we also sang My Country 'Tis of Thee. Well, you know why? Because it was because of this guy right here, Benjamin Harrison. He started that tradition, and I hope the tradition is still carried on today. But he was also known as the Centennial President because he was inaugurated exactly 100 years, I don't know about the same day, but 100 years after George Washington's inauguration. But he was forged as the country struggled to find its identity and sought to heal from the lingering wounds of civil war and slavery. While presiding over a growing nation which saw 6 states join the Union during his 4 years in office, he was outspoken in his advocacy for black civil rights, and he ensured the conservation of 13 million acres of land that prepared the way for the national forest system and our national parks. His achievements in international outreach, veterans pensions, a 2-ocean navy for national defense, and antitrust legislation helped usher America into the modern era and continue to shape our world today. And that's kind of where I'm going to stop there. And it's funny that they mention national parks. Like the tour guide said, you know, Theodore Roosevelt is often associated with national parks. Well, Benjamin Harrison was the one that paved the way for that. Don't you forget. And that is Harrison with his cabinet. And I forgot to mention, for those that don't know, he is a one-term president. And I can't think of a much better way of putting this, but he was sandwiched between the administrations of Grover Cleveland, because Grover Cleveland to this day is the only president to this day to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. And as I'm doing this video, it's a week away from Election Day, and yeah, we'll find out if Harrison was the only president to have that distinction, if you know what I mean, but I'm not going to go there. Okay, so the historic Old North Side. After the Civil War, Indian industrialization and population growth greatly expanded Indianapolis. At the time Harrison moved here, it was only 16,000 people. Now today, it is one of the top 20 populated cities in the United States. But anyway, merchants, doctors, and lawyers, including the future President Harrison, purchased lots along the northern city limits near today's 10th Street and established a neighborhood now known as the Old North Side. Notable for expansive lots and fine houses, the area attracted prominent families with names like Fletcher, Butler, Wasson, Taggart, Nicholson, and many others. Tree-lined streets and excellent streetcar service, this was the city's most desirable neighborhood from the 1870s to the 1910s. Now, this neighborhood, I mean, it's had a lot of history, as it says on here, but Interstates 65 and 70, you know, when the freeway was built, you probably know what I'm going to say, 8,000 buildings were demolished and thousands of families were displaced. So, but this place, luckily, was spared because of the National Historic Preservation Movement. And we're also going to learn about Caroline's role as part of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Let's see what's behind here. And these are all replicas of the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, it did rain earlier today. I'm glad it's not raining now, but anywho, yeah, United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And then I'm also looking at some of the quotes that he did, and I'll read off some of them. An American citizen could not be a good citizen who did not have a hope in his heart. That came straight from President Harrison. Equality is the golden thread that runs through all through the fabric of our civil institutions, the dominating note in the swelling symphony of liberty. And lastly, do not be ashamed to love the flag or confess your love of it. Make much of it, tell its history, sing of it. Nicely put. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go towards the house, which is on the left. Okay, so we're going closer to the house. And it looks like there's 2 markers from the Indiana Historical Society. One about Benjamin, one about the First Lady, Caroline Harrison. Let's see what it says. This is the front side. Caroline Scott Harrison, who lived from 1832 to 1892, wife of President Benjamin Harrison, advocated for the arts and worked to expand women's influence outside the home. She was active in charity work in Indiana and Washington, D.C., including 30 years on the Indianapolis Orphans Asylum Board of Managers. She campaigned to gain women's admission to Johns Hopkins Medical School in 1890. And then on the back, as First Lady from 1889 to 1892, Harrison promoted preserving the White House and its collections. She secured congressional funding to direct renovations, modernizing the interior, saved historic furnishings, and founded the White House China Collection. She served as first President General of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution from 1890 until death. This was put up here in 2017 by and I'm sorry, not the Indiana Historical Society, but the Indiana Historical Bureau. I forgot that's what they call it here. But she was also either the second or third first lady to die while significant other was in office. So that was, I mean, that was actually 2 weeks before the 1892 election, sadly. But I'll have more on that later in this video. Now we're going to talk about her husband. And like I said, election day 2024 is around the corner as the time I'm doing this video. Honk if you voted. Love it. I guess that means they're early voters. Oh wait, you can actually vote here too. I did not know that. It's a official voting center. Nice. So this one doesn't look to be long. It's very short and sweet. Okay, Brigadier General Benjamin Harrison. And like I said, for some reason, he did not really care to be called president, or former president Benjamin Harrison. He wanted to be known more as the general. Okay. Lived from 1833 to 1901. Entered the Union Army as second lieutenant of the 70th Indiana Regiment. He insisted on turning raw recruits into disciplined soldiers. He later was United States Senator from Indiana and the 23rd President of the United States. I don't think there's anything on the back, but you never know. Yeah, it's the same thing. Now this was put up here in 1963. Wow. Oh, great. Oh, because I'm under a tree. It's like, no, it can't be raining again. Sorry if it's a little smeared, but yeah, I'm under a tree and it just rained. But yes, this is the house. And I'm gonna go ahead and get closer. Yeah, the mansion, yeah, the house, or more like a mansion, was very nice to tour inside of. But I think I'll take a look at some of these plaques over here. I'll start with the one right in front. The home of Benjamin Harrison, 23rd President of the United States. Indiana's own citizen, in command of the 70th Indiana Volunteer Infantry, 1861-1865. And Brigadier General. This was put up here by the Sons of Union Veterans. I'm sorry, Auxiliary, National Auxiliary to the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, August 1st, 1933. And there's one on the back too. I think it's unrelated. This was put up here by the Daughters of the American Revolution in honor of those members of families of Caroline Scott Harrison chapter who served in World War II. And I'm going to get up on the front porch real quick. And this was actually where Harrison campaigned, right here on this front porch. Yeah, what I'm standing in. And sometimes it would just be right here. I'm going to take a look at some of these plaques here. Yeah, the home of Caroline Scott Harrison, first president, general of the National Society of DAR, and Benjamin Harrison. This was, I'm sure for those who follow this channel, you've seen a lot of these National Historic Landmark pics, or these plaques. This one was put up in 1964, and this was rededicated on October 6, 1974, 100 years after original construction. The restored home of Benjamin Harrison, and this was rededicated. Really nice. So like I said, they did not allow video in this building, which I respect. I saw it coming anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and start the tour from here. Here we go. And then through that door is where the tour ends. But yeah, like I said, I learned quite a lot about General Harrison. And then I imagine is probably their old garage. But either way, it's a welcome center. They got a gift shop. And if you're wanting a place to park, it's right there. It's They got about a dozen spaces, but again, it's kind of limited, but you just gotta show up early. That's all I got. That's all I know about that. All right, and now we're gonna go in here. And when the Harrison family moved into the White House, they found the residence in a state of disrepair. And the First Lady, Caroline Harrison, was determined to change that. She decided to put together a proposal for Congress to gain funds to conduct the necessary repairs on the building. And in front of me is Caroline Harrison's inauguration parade gown. Caroline wore this dress to the parade that was held in honor of her husband's inauguration on March 4th, 1889. It is made from velvet and F-A-I-L-L-E, with cream cord and steel beads bordering the neckline and edges. Here's some more memorabilia from the inaugural ball. A nice standee of the two. Now this buggy on the left and the sleigh on the right, these are original Benjamin Harrison items. Yep, that's what they traveled by. It's easy to forget no cars existed or planes. So look how luxurious these babies are. Really nice. And here's a little sleigh for the kids. An experience filled with clues and cues. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason. I hope you learned a lot about the nation's 23rd President of the United States, Benjamin Harrison. And here I am behind his old house. All right, I am Jason in Indianapolis, signing off.